Every technology revolution will cause social instability. The first technology revolution, I say, caused World War I. Second technology revolution caused World War II. This is the third technology revolution. People are already unhappy because a lot of machine learning, artificial intelligence killing a lot of jobs. People start to worry. Those people, the background, the education background, if you're not innovative enough, if you're not like a creative enough, your job will be taken away by a lot of machines. So this is the challenge. So it's the third technology revolution we may cause the third world war. What's the third world war? We should be the war if the human being do not have the same target, the one target, like poverty, disease, environment, human being gonna have problems. So I think the good thing is that technology is gonna improve people's life. The bad thing is technology is killing a lot of jobs. People may live in a different way. So this is something that I worry about in the next 30 years.
As you should. This would seem to be a huge challenge. I could think, for example, of social stability in your own country.
Yeah.
Where tens of millions of people are employed in industries where eventually a robot might be able to do it. What's going to happen to those jobs?
That's why we should have to do the globalization. You have to, if a small business...
Everybody's going to be a small business, Jack?
Yeah,
I mean, really? Everybody's going to do their own thing?
In the last 20 years, or last 200 years, I would say, it's like an industry period. Large scale standardization is the model. Next 100 years, personalized, custom-made is the future. So I think the challenge of this technology is to a lot of big companies. So how we can empower the small business. If the small business, normally they can only sell things to their village or their own county or even their city. With the power of the internet, we can help them sell across the board. So I met a young man in Peru. He said he's only 24 years old. He never thought his product would be so popular in New Zealand, in Australia, in China. Now his company grew from 6 people to 60 people. So
what does he sell?
I don't know what he sells. He said he's so excited, and he said something that his people, his neighborhood, wow, this is things that I've seen every day. But people in New Zealand, Australia, and China say, we love it. Because they have never seen this kind of designing things. So this is what I think. The way to figure out the job creation, one of the best ways is to helping small business to sell their local products across the board. And we have to prepare now, because next 30 years is going to be painful.
It's going to be painful.
Very painful.
Because of the changes that are going to take place.
Change of the technology, change of the robots.
You're going to have a lot of people with a lot of time on their hands too.
Well, the other thing people will be interested.
Now they might want to spend it on Alibaba watching movies and buying things, but...
Well, believe it or not, I think next 30 years people only work 4 hours a day and maybe 4 days a week. People say, wow, what are they going to do? My grandfather worked 16 hours a day in the farmland to dig in. He thinks he's very busy. We work 8 hours, 5 days a week. We think we are very busy. By the next 30 years, people only work 4 hours. And normally in your life, normal people visit like 30 places. 30 years later, they will probably visit 300 places. So there will be mobile population. So stop globalization, it's impossible. The only thing is that how can we make the globalization more inclusive, the trade more inclusive, knowledge more inclusive. This is how we can dealing with the instability of the world.
These are all very important issues, but a lot of them do come back to politics. They come back to governments and the willingness to invest and the willingness to make hard choices. I'm not seeing a lot of those hard choices made right now in the world.
This is why I'm traveling, talking to all the government, the state leaders, and telling them, moving fast. If they do not move fast, it's going to be trouble. So when we see something is coming, you have to prepare now. My belief is that you have to repair the roof while it is still sunshine.
Do you think the machines will win?
My mission?
The machines, overall.
The machines? No, human will win.
They will?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Machine is good in knowledge, but human beings are good at the wisdom. So that is why I'm encouraging a lot of government and talking to a lot of government officers, pay special attention to the education system. If you want, the machine is going to be smarter than human being. This is for sure. All right, I'm a guarantee. Because the day when we design the machine, we know machine is powerful, stronger than us. When we design the trains and buses, we know machine is going to run faster than us. When we have the computers, we have to know that machine is going to be smarter than us. But the human being, they are not only smart, they have the wisdom.
And so artificial intelligence will never have wisdom?
No.
No.
No. It's about a value, it's about wisdom, it's about experience. It's about the user experience. It's about your life experience. So I don't think the artificial intelligence is going to replace the wisdom. Artificial intelligence is going to be very smart. So between the smart and the wisdom, smart people know what you want. Wise people knows what they don't want.
I just continue to wonder what that world will look like over the next 30 years and whether we can.
It's going to be painful.
What's painful? What does that mean?
Well, you will see that some people, because the knowledge is not enough, the wisdom is not enough. So the new wave coming, the job is been taken away. Some people who catch up the wave will be rich, will be more successful. Some people will be more painful. The government, the world is going to be data. The people will have more data than the bosses.
Right. You've said, we're talking about data.
Yeah, data.
You said machines had drank electricity. Now they will drink data. Data is our water and our soil.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Well, in the future, in the office, there are electricity, there are water, and the pipe of the data. If you want to make machine smart, the machine must drink data. So data is, without the data, innovation society is impossible. And the other thing, in the past 200 years, because of the science, people's eyes look at the outside. We go to the moon, we want to go to the Mars, we see the outside world, but we never see the inside of the human beings. Data, you will know human being better.
You have a lot of data at Alibaba, don't you?
Yeah, we do.
And how are you focused on creating and obtaining more of it?
No, I think it's just the beginning of the data period. We think data is going to be so important to human life in the future. So now we just said we are the first runner. Compared to tomorrow, our data is nothing. Tomorrow, IoT, Internet of Things, everything connected. Everything will be
billions
data.
upon billions of devices connected.
That's connected.
Right.
So we think we're a big data company today. That was compared to yesterday. Compared to tomorrow, we are nothing.
Well, what will it let you do, having access to that data as it accumulates more and more? What would allow you to do?
Improve people's life, improve the machines, to making sure the machine can do better jobs to support human beings, instead of machine do better jobs to kill human jobs. So I think that we don't know how data really can make money today, but we know we have to protect the security of the data, the privacy of the data. And when we know one day the data will empower the human beings.
Well, you know a lot about your customers already, I would assume. I mean, they spend a lot of time on the platform, 25 minutes a day, 7 times a day. Many of them are younger, they're using their mobile device. But that's just the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah, this is the tip beginning. Just today's data is like 100 years ago, people think about electricity is a light, But they never thought 100 years later we have a fridge and washing machine, everything using electricity. So data, we have to believe our kids will be much smarter than us using the data.
But you don't believe all that data, when used with artificial intelligence, will create wisdom.
No.
You don't?
No. Wisdom is from heart. The machine intelligence is about the brain. Brain is about the knowledge. You can always make a machine to learn the knowledge, but it is difficult for machine to have a human heart.
I like the sound of it. I'm not sure. There's plenty of people who don't believe you, who think that eventually artificial intelligence will exceed our own and the machines will take over, and we won't even know when that point is reached.
We will see in 30 years. 30 years later, we're still surviving. We will check out.
You talk to Elon Musk about this at all, ever?
Well, I think the machine intelligence and human intelligence, we have to be careful. If you're using artificial, I don't think we should make machine like human. This is something we should do. We should making sure the machine can do things that human being cannot do. This is the focus that we are doing. We human beings always want to using the knowledge to predict the future. But today we are entering into a new world. Nobody is the expert of future. And we have so limited knowledge about the digital time. So I think we are entering a world that everybody start to worry. And today those people say, I believe the future, they're considered as crazy guys. And also I would like to say that people worry about the big data, artificial intelligence, and computing, and cloud computing, all these things. I think these worries are very normal. And when 200 years ago, the steam machine comes, people start to worry about that. They think the steam machine is going to take a lot of jobs. 100 years ago, when electricity comes, people worry about electricity is going to take a lot of jobs. But I believe human beings have solutions. If we don't have the solutions, our kids will have the solutions. In the past 10 years, just like our company, 5 years ago, we noticed that a big debate in our company. We think the online shopping, the e-commerce was shifting from PC to mobile phone. Nobody believed because most of the people say, hey, Jack, how can you shopping on a mobile phone? The screen is so tiny. But we proved today 87% of the shops on our site are from the mobile phones. Not because the screen is too short, because our eyes is too short. We are getting old. Young people never get old. And we get used to waiting for government to find the solutions, but actually the solutions are everywhere. The wisdom of human beings are everywhere. And I think human beings should have confidence in ourselves, and the new technology will destroy a lot of jobs, but also will create a lot of jobs. So when we start to lose vision, when we start to lose imagination, we start to worry. And I think because we lose the vision for future, because we don't have the imagination, we start to worry too much about the future. Today we see the steam machines bring a lot of jobs for the world, and electricity also bring a lot of jobs for the world. The DT, the data technology, is going to bring a lot of jobs for the world. The question is whether we are ready and whether we are qualified for these new jobs. And by the way, a lot of people talking about manufacturing. I think manufacturing will never bring a lot of jobs. In the last 200 years, manufacturing brings jobs. But today, because of the artificial intelligence, because of the robots, manufacturing is no longer being the main engine of creating jobs. Service industry is going to be the main driver for job creations. So talking about manufacturing, we should not talking about made in China, made in America. It's going to be made in internet. Most of the small business is going to be powerful. Most of the small business is going to be global. So in the past 30 years, 6% of the business in the world, big companies, they benefit from globalization. In the next 30 years, I believe, and we believe from the data shows that all the small business will, at least 60% of the small business will benefit from globalization. Globalization is nothing wrong. We need to improve globalization. We need to making sure globalization is inclusive. And people worry about the machine is going to control human beings. I think people should have confidence. Human beings should have the self-confidence. Human beings have the wisdom. Machine does not have the wisdom. We should never, I think we should not think about artificial intelligence. We should talk about machine intelligence. I find a lot of scientists start to think about the machine, think like a human brains. Human only know less than 10% of human brains. If we want to make the machines think like a man, we'll be in big troubles. So the other thing is that I don't like a lot of scientists and engineers talking about the business leader, scare people away about the technology. I'm a non-technology guy. The only thing I know about a computer is send and receive email and browse. I don't know what is coding, but we can lead the technology. And the thing is that in the past 30 years, we make people like a machine. Next 30 years, we will make machine like a people. But the difference is that machine should be machine-like, people should be people-like. And talking about the machine is going to be bigger, is being smarter or powerful than human beings. This happens in the past 300 years. Machine always run faster, stronger than human beings. When computer is designed, we have to be sure that machine is going to be smarter than human being. They remember because they never forget. They never get tired, they never sleep, never drinks. So this is the technology, unstoppable. And we should know that the machine does not have a heart. Machine does not have soul, and machine does not have a belief. Human beings have the souls, have the belief, have the value. We are creative. We are surely that we can control the machines. So the technology is unstoppable. We don't have the answer for the future, but there is answer for the future. That is why we should stop finger pointing each other. By working together, solve the problem. So what is the solution for those challenges? I think we should change ourselves, embrace the future. Those people worry about tomorrow are those people who are successful and those people who are above 50 years old. It is so difficult. The most difficult thing in this world is to change a successful people. And the other thing is our young people never worry. Those people who are over 50 years old, they worry a lot. Young people never worry for the future. They worry about us. They worry about us that make the wrong policies, wrong decision, wrong judgment for the futures. So the best way to using the technology is using technology to solve the problems instead of stopping the technology. And I think our generation, we're lucky we're about 50 years old, so next to 20 years, there's no big problem for us. But we should not make problems for our kids. And for the kids' issues, we have to pay special attention to the education system. This is everywhere I go to the different countries talking to the statesmen, government officers. Pay attention to the education system. The way we teach, the things we teach today is going to be making our kids losing jobs the next 30 years. Because all the things we learn about remember knowledge, calculation, all these stuffs, machine can do better. We have to teach the kids that machine cannot do better like human beings. So this is what worried me for the President Macron talk about we should retrain our people. That's supporting the people like us today, 30, 40 years old. But what about our kids? So we have to rearrange the education. Because of artificial intelligence, because of machine learning, because of computing, we have to change the education system, knowledge and know-how. And we have to teach our kids to be very, very innovative, very creative. In this way, we can create jobs for our kids. By the way, I think if you want, in this world, IQ, EQ, and LQ. If you want to be successful, you should have IQ. But you should have an EQ. If you don't want to lose quickly, you should have the EQ or IQ. But if you want to be respected, if you want to survive, keep on successful, you should have the LQ. What is LQ? The Q of love, which machine never have that. So, finally, by closing that, I think we are optimistic as a business people. I'm optimistic, positive for the future, for the technology. But we also have to be very, very careful that the first technology revolution caused World War I. Second technology revolution caused World War II. Now we are the third technology revolution. The World War III should be against poverty, disease, and environment pollutions. Otherwise, human beings will have problems. This is what I want to share with you. Thank you very much.
Are robots going to take our jobs, everybody's jobs in the future? Or how much do you see artificial intelligence coming into the workplace?
Well, first of all, I think on the artificial intelligence front, I have exposure to the very most cutting edge AI. And I think people should be really concerned about it. I keep sounding the alarm bell, but until people see like robots going down the street killing people, like they don't know how to react, because it seems so ethereal. I think we should be really concerned about AI, and I think we should AI is a rare case where I think we need to be proactive in regulation instead of reactive. Because I think by the time we are reactive in AI regulation, it's too late. And normally the way regulations are set up is that a whole bunch of bad things happen, there's a public outcry, and then after many years, a regulatory agency is set up to regulate that industry. And there's a bunch of opposition from companies who don't like being told what to do by regulators. Anyway, it takes forever. That in the past has been bad, but not something which represented a fundamental risk to the existence of civilization. AI is a fundamental risk to the existence of human civilization. In a way that car accidents, airplane crashes, faulty drugs, or bad food were not. They were harmful to a set of individuals within society, of course, but they were not harmful to society as a whole. AI is a fundamental existential risk for human civilization, and I don't think people fully appreciate that. It's not fun being regulated. It's not, it can be pretty irksome, but in the car business, we get regulated by Department of Transport, by EPA, and a bunch of others, and there's regulatory agencies in every country. In space, we get regulated by FAA, but if you ask the average person, hey, do you want to get rid of the FAA and just like take a chance on manufacturers not cutting corners on the aircraft because profits were down that quarter? I was like, hell no. That sounds terrible. So, I think even people who are pretty extremely like libertarian free market, they'd be like, yeah, we should probably have somebody keeping an eye on the aircraft companies, making sure they build a good aircraft and good cars and that kind of thing. So, I think there's a role for regulators. That's very important. And I'm against overregulation for sure. But man, I think we better get on that with AI pronto. So there'll certainly be a lot of job disruption. Because what's going to happen is robots will be able to do everything better than us. I'm including, all of us, Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what to do about this. This is really like the scariest problem to me, I'll tell you. So I really think we need government regulation here, just because this is, ensuring the public good is served. Because you've got companies that are racing, they kind of have to race to build AI, or they're going to be made uncompetitive. Essentially, if your competitor is racing to build AI and you don't, they will crush you. So then you're like, we don't want to be crushed. So, I guess we need to build it too. That's where you need the regulators to come in and say, hey guys, you all need to really, just pause and make sure this is safe. And like when it's cool and we're convinced, and the regulators are convinced that it's safe to proceed, then you can go. But otherwise, slow down. But you kind of need the regulators to do that for all the teams in the game. Otherwise the shareholders will be saying like, hey, why aren't you developing AI faster? Because your competitor is. I'm like, okay, we've got to do that. Anyway, so it's like, there's like something like 12% of jobs are transport. Transport will be one of the first things to go fully autonomous. But when I say everything, like the robots will be able to do everything, bar nothing.
What time scale would you guess at? But I think if it reaches the threshold where it's this as smart as the smartest, most inventive human, then, it really could be, a matter of days before it's smarter than the sum of humanity.
Any concerns where you see there's a very clear thing we should be doing now that are going to help?
Well, I've been trying to think of what is an actual good future? What does that actually look like? Or at least bad, or how you want to characterize it. Because to a point that was made earlier, I think maybe by Sam and maybe by others, that we're headed towards either superintelligence or civilization ending. Those like the two things that are that'll happen. Intelligence will keep advancing. The only thing that would prevent it from advancing is something that puts civilization into stasis or destroys civilization. So then we have to figure out what is a world that we would like to be in, where there is this digital superintelligence. I think and then another point that I think is really important to appreciate is that all of us already are cyborgs. So you have a machine extension of yourself in the form of your phone and your computer and all your applications. You are already superhuman. But by far, you have more power, more capability than the President of the United States had 30 years ago. If you have an internet link, you have an oracle of wisdom. You can communicate to millions of people. You can communicate to the rest of Earth instantly. These are magical powers that didn't exist not that long ago. So everyone is already superhuman and a cyborg. The limitation is one of bandwidth. So we're bandwidth constrained, particularly on output. So our input is much better, but our output is extremely slow. If you want to be generous, you could say maybe it's a few hundred bits per second or a kilobit or something like that output. The way we output is like we have our little meat sticks that we move very slowly and push buttons or tap a little screen. And that's just extremely slow. Compare that to a computer which can communicate at the terabit level. These are very big orders of magnitude differences. Our input is much better because of vision. But even that could be enhanced significantly. So I think that the two things that are needed for a future that we would look at and conclude is good, most likely, is we have to solve that bandwidth constraint with a direct neural interface. I think a high bandwidth interface to the cortex, so that we can have a digital tertiary layer that's more fully symbiotic with the rest of us. Like we've got the cortex and the limbic system, which seem to work together pretty well. They've got good bandwidth, whereas the bandwidth to our digital tertiary layer is weak. So I think if we can solve that bandwidth issue, and then AI can be widely available. So AI, the analogy to nuclear bombing is not exactly correct. It's not as though it's going to explode and create a mushroom cloud. It's more like if there were just a few people that had it, they would be able to be essentially dictators of Earth, or whoever acquired it, and if it was limited to a small number of people, and it was ultra smart, they would have dominion over Earth. So I think it's extremely important that it be widespread, and that we solve the bandwidth issue. And if we do those things, then it will be tied to our consciousness, tied to our will, tied to the sum of individual human will, and everyone would have it. So it would be sort of still a relatively even playing field. In fact, it would be probably more egalitarian than today.
So tell us just pretty briefly about something that you are really excited about, some future vision you imagine with very advanced artificial intelligence that you're really excited about, that you would like to see.
I think I have thought about this a lot, and I think it really comes down to two things, and it's solving the the machine brain bandwidth constraint and democratization of AI. I think if we have those two things, the future will be good. There's a great quote by Lord Acton, which is that freedom consists of the distribution of power and despotism in its concentration. And I think as long as we have, as long as AI power is, like anyone can get it if they want it, and we've got something faster than meat sticks to communicate with, then I think the future will be good.
Eric Brynjolfsson, MIT. I'm going to pick up on the thing that Elon said at the end about democratizing the outcome and tie it back to the panel yesterday where Reid Hoffman talked about people caring a lot about not just absolute income but relative income, and I wanted to get the panelists' reactions to the thoughts about whether or not AI had tendencies towards winner-take-all effects, that there's a tendency for its concentration, that whoever's ahead can pull further ahead, or whether there's potential for more widespread democratic access to it, and what kinds of mechanisms we can put in place if we want to have the widely shared prosperity that Elon suggested.
Elon, do you want to take that?
Yeah, well, I mean, I have to say that when something is a danger to the public, then there needs to be some, I hate to say it, government agency, like regulators. Like, I'm not the biggest fan of regulators, like, because they're a bit of a buzzkill, but the fact is, like, we've got regulators in, the aircraft industry, car industry, deal with them all the time, with drugs, food, and anything that's sort of a public risk. I mean, I think this has to fall into the category of a public risk, so I think that like this the right thing to do, and I think it will happen. The question is whether the government reaction speed matches the advancement speed of AI. Governments react slowly, and governments move slowly, and they tend to be reactive as opposed to proactive. But you can look at these other industries and say, like, does anybody really want the FAA to go away? It's like people could just be a free-for-all for aircraft. Like, probably not. Like, there's a reason it's there. Or just people can just do any kind of drugs, and maybe they work, maybe they don't. We have that in supplements, just like it's kind of ridiculous. But I think, like, on balance, FDA is good. So I think we probably need some kind of regulatory authority, and I think it's like the rebuttal to that is like, well, people will just like move to freaking Costa Rica or something. That's not true. Okay, like, we don't see Boeing moving to Costa Rica or to Venezuela or wherever it's like free and loose. To Demis's point, the AI is overwhelmingly likely to be developed where there is a concentration of AI research talent, and that happens to be in a few places in the world. It's Silicon Valley, London, Boston, sort of few other places, but it's really just like a few places that really regulators could reasonably access. And I want to be clear, it's not because I love regulators, okay? They're a pain in the neck, but they're necessary to preserve the public good at times.
With all this talk of technology, theoretical physicist Stephen Hawking, whom I'm sure you know, warned this week that technology could end up ending humanity at some point. Do you share that apocalyptic view of technology?
Well, I think it's something that it's not going to happen overnight. I do think we have to worry about it. I don't think it's inherent that as we create superintelligence that it will necessarily always have the same goals in mind that we do. Humans don't always have the same goal as other humans. So who gets control of the technology? How is it built in? I don't think there's a need to panic, but I think the dialogue along those levels, the people who say let's not worry at all, I don't agree with that.
Well, we already have the equivalent of robots doing a lot of things. If you look at how farming was done historically and how it's done today, those are mechanical devices that are helping us out a lot. If you look at what a telephone operator used to do or what a typist used to do. We are proceeding to replace all sorts of rote labor with robots. And this is a progression that with vision, with speech recognition, with greater mobility, will span to a lot of new areas. I don't see robots as something that will lead to more war. We have to be careful to avoid war. In general, the trend has been quite phenomenal in that regard. Violence in general, particularly of that type, less genocide. There's an unbelievable book about this by Steven Pinker that really talks about the trend and how positive it's been. But robots are a good thing. Let's just use them for something other than war. In certain respects, computers are far faster than we are today. Multiplying, perfect memory. And it's this wonderful auxiliary tool that lets us communicate and create the ability to simulate things. Try out a new car design and see how that's going to work, or a new nuclear reactor. Look at how you would design drugs. Computer simulation is this mind-blowing advance that will increase the rate of innovation. And so, I do think that when the computer takes over certain tasks, that'll be tough for us. It will be a long time before you're matching the type of broad judgment that humans exercise in many different areas.
So on big ideas, artificial intelligence is something that I think has captured the imagination of Washington and probably the rest of the country and world. What is Amazon's approach to artificial intelligence?
Well, first of all, this is artificial intelligence, machine learning, artificial intelligence. It is a renaissance. It is a golden age. We are now solving problems with machine learning and artificial intelligence that were, kind of in the realm of science fiction for the last several decades. And natural language understanding, machine vision problems. It really is an amazing renaissance. And for decades, AI researchers kind of struggled and made very, very slow progress. And over the last 10 years, it looks like one of those S-curves. You're just making a lot of progress very rapidly over the last 10 years. Machine learning and AI is a horizontal enabling layer. It will empower and improve every business, every government organization, every philanthropy, basically there's no institution in the world that cannot be improved with machine learning. So at Amazon, some of the things we're doing are super obvious. So they're kind of superficially obvious, and they're interesting and they're cool, and you should pay attention to them. I'm thinking about things like Alexa and Echo, our voice assistant. I'm thinking about our autonomous prime air delivery drones. Those things use a tremendous amount of machine learning, machine vision systems, natural language understanding, and a bunch of other techniques. And those, but those are kind of the showy ones. And I would say a lot of the value that we're getting from machine learning is actually happening, kind of beneath the surface. And it is things like improved search results, improved product recommendations for customers, improved forecasting for inventory management, and literally hundreds of other things beneath the surface. And then I'd say the most exciting thing that I think we're working on in machine learning is that we are determined to, through Amazon Web Services, where we have all these customers who are corporations and software developers, to make these advanced techniques accessible to every organization, even if they don't have kind of the current class of expertise that's required. Right now, deploying these techniques for your particular institution's problems is difficult. It takes a lot of expertise, and so you have to go compete for the very best PhDs in machine learning and get them, and it's difficult for a lot of organizations to win those competitions. And so we're in a great position because of the success of Amazon Web Services to be able to put energy into making those techniques easy and accessible. And so we're determined to do that. I think we can build a great business doing that for ourselves, and it would be incredibly enabling for organizations that want to use these sophisticated technologies to improve their own organizations.
And so it learns, and that got you into the artificial intelligence world, machine learning world, so that you could take the cloud computing. And
we've been in the machine learning world for a long time. The machine learning, is, I think it's one of the things, we live in a very interesting time because there are a few golden ages happening, and one of them is machine learning, kind of specialized AI, and it's, we're doing everything with it. We're grading strawberries with it, for Amazon Fresh. Cameras look at the strawberries, and we can now outperform humans on strawberry grading. So that's just, I gave you that tiny example to show you that artificial intelligence and machine vision and natural language understanding, these kinds of amazing things that just 10 years ago were science fiction, are going to be very helpful in everywhere.